Hey guys, Wolfie here, and welcome back to the channel. As always, the usual disclaimer, any opinion here is mine and mine alone. This is going to be a video log, and before I get into the topic of that one, Sandy the Tabby, he is saying hi. He wants to say hi. I had to do it. Because it's like if I'm leaning like this, or where my elbows are on my bed, Sandy tends to come from that over there and waltz to where you're seeing me. So wanted to point that out, but like I said, it is a video log. It's a fun one. It's my monthly Sandy hairs. I can never get used to that. So it is my the March visit to Micro Center. Of course, it's one of those where it's like I went there for one thing. I was able to window shop, plan things for other stuff. So overall, it was a resounding success. I got some pictures from my trip. You know, I'll show you what the item I was actually looking for and why. And I do want to have a bit of an announcement in the sense of another build mini-series coming along later on this year. It's going to be for a buddy of mine. Something I've been promising her for a little over a year. It's been taking me quite some time to get almost all the parts, because it's like I had to really keep on changing things, because I'm like, does it really fit the vision of what I want? Is it something, you know, that she could really use, work with, etc., etc.? And it's just like, okay, I just have to really do a whole lot of that. And it looks like Sandy really wants to be part of this video. I kid you not. You can see his tail. And he's one happy kitty. So without any further delay, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this video. Now, the reason why I went to Micro Center today a little earlier than anticipated, and I actually walked there. Fortunately for where I live, it's about a 2-mile walk, which is something I desperately needed. I really wanted to, you know, give my legs a good stretch, a good walk today. So it was something, you know, I was able to accomplish with flying colors. And this is the item I was actually going after. To be more specific, this is the Be Quiet Pure Wings 2. This is a PWM fan only. There's 0 RGB. And that was my purpose for buying this particular fan. I wanted 0 RGB because the chassis that I'm using for the build for a friend of mine, or mate, however, no, mate is the European version of the word friend, so I will be interchanging those terms like whenever. So the buddy of mine, she's currently in the South. She's probably going to be moving in a few months. So the case that she's going to be getting is the NZXT H5 Elite, and that family of PC cases, the H5 Elite and the H5 Flow, they have a fan that's like, where it's like for most PC cases, it's like there's that section like towards the bottom of most of them where it's like dedicated to your hard disk drives or your SATA 3s or your RGB and or fan controllers. That's why where it's usually reserved for one of those. It's no longer there. It's replaced by a fan that's dedicated to help cool the GPU. So for this particular reasoning, I really wanted to, you know, go after, you know, that replace the fan that was there, and, you know, with a better fan. And I went with this because it was like, price wise, it's good. 2's got some good solid numbers. Although it's slightly on the loud side, I can live with that. And 3, it's all black. It's kind of like what I wanted with the build. And of course, Sandy really wants to say hi to everybody. Don't you, mister? You really want to say hi. Don't you? But anywho, I went with this one where it was either this one or one on Noctua via Amazon. I went with this one because of the lower price. The Micro Center had some of these in stock. And it's like in the vision, you know, I could really, you know, it was something I could really work with. And then the fan that was already in that spot where it's like on the H5 Flow or the H5 Elite, I moved that fan from where it was to cool the GPU. I moved that, and it was originally set to intake, so I moved that particular fan to the rear of the case and have that set up as exhaust. So that way it's like it gives me a little bit better, a cleaner look, in my personal opinion. Something I can really like work with, if that makes any sense. So I went with this. I'm really happy that I did. Now, regarding some of the other things I've been finding, I was looking at the graphics card displays, all that stuff. Now, I'm going to double check something real quick. Now, this is the surprising batch I saw for open box GPUs, and some of the ones I saw here was not surprising at all. Because you have a 4080 available. You have looks like the ARC family, although the ARC family looks to be more brand new than open box. Now you see here an AMD Red Devil. That's the 6900 XT. Let me zoom in on this one real quick. That's a 7900 XTX by Gigabyte. There's also, I know that's a 3090. I want to say that's a 3090 right there. That's the Asus TUF Gaming OC version. So that's what I saw there for open box GPU. So it's 30 series for the NVIDIA, 40 series. You have some AMD mostly, but it's very few and far in between here, from what I was able to tell. And I think there was some DDR5 on the left side of that photo. Now, this is some of the other 30 series, GTX series, and et cetera, et cetera. And there's the Quadro RTX, which is not gaming GPUs, but it is there. So you have a wide variety there. And then you have over here, looks like it's a decent amount of 4070 Ti's, as well as a decent amount of 4080. So it's it seems like there's a decent amount of availability for the 40 series. I mean, although I did see quite a few people where it's they were in line waiting for a graphics card or something like that. So it's one of those, the jury is definitely out regarding whether or not the GPUs are really selling, because it's you have a decent amount of availability before you checked out and after you checked out. So it's so that's why I'm thinking, the jury is definitely out. So it's there is still GPUs available, but it's more is it really available, or are people buying them? So it's I don't know, and I personally don't think so. But who really knows at this point? Now, this is the AMD side of things. There are quite a few available, but it really depends on what you're going after. I know that's the XT 7900 XT Hellhound by Power Color. There's 6950s. There's some 6750s. You have some 7900 XT. I know here you have the XTX. So let me double check that. And then you have over here, let me see if I can zoom in real quick. You have your 6500 XTs. You have your I think that's a 550. Let's see here. Got the 6500, 6600. I know that's the 6650 XT. You have your 6750 XT, 6700. Okay, let me back this up a little bit. 6750. You got some reference cards. You have the 6950 XT. You also have, So there is a pretty good amount here. So it looks like AMD's not really selling their GPUs that well at this point here in Chicago. But it really comes down to individual opinion on the matter. So I'm going to zoom out of there. So GPUs, I don't know if they're really selling right now. Because, it's around the same amount from last month, but it's give or take. Now, this is the 4090 section right here. Now, this seems to be the one that's selling. However, it's like, it's really high in price. And it's like, people are calling, I mean, I know people are calling out in a video for how they're doing things being anti-consumer. Which, in a way, it is a little bit worrisome. Now, I do want to point out here, I'm going to get into the AIO coolers in a little bit, is that I was looking here because for the Buddies build, one of the things I do need still is, believe it or not, the a decent AIO cooler. I am going with NZXT because it's like, it gives me, in a sense, like, making sure an RGB AIO cooler by NZXT, I can fill that third and final slot on the RGB hub. And then regarding the I want to say the PWM cable, it's like I can take care of that, not a problem. So it's like that's that on that. One of the things I do need for the Buddies build, by the way, is and it's something I can easily get at Micro Center. It's a 3-way PWM cable. Because that way I could go after the 3 fans, the 2 on the front that came with the case, alongside the Be Quiet fan that I bought at Micro Center today. I could put that under a singular cable, and I could just hook it into the, and I could do that onto the motherboard. Easy peasy. Now, this is the current supply of NZXT and Corsair AIO coolers at Micro Center. As you guys can tell here, there are some Z73 RGB coolers by NZXT. There's also X73 alongside with mostly Z63s. There's not that many Z53s, and that's something I'm probably going to be going after. It's either the Z53 or the X53 Kraken by NZXT. And I do need it for I do need the RGB version, so that way I can, occupy that third spot on the RGB controller. So this is pretty much what I've seen. There's not much else going on, because it looks like the X family, for the most part, is out. Although NZXT's website has more. And then the same thing you can say about Corsair, because like they're selling pretty well here as well. But who really knows it at this point? Now for the CPUs, it's like, it's really a hard call to make in the sense of like, who's selling well, who's still got plenty spare. I think Intel's selling well. I mean, AMD really needs to do something to be competitive and make sure people are buying their stuff. And unfortunately, they're not doing that at all, because you got quite a bit of Ryzen. And we're not talking just the 5000 series. There's still 4000 series AMD CPUs. You also have your 7000 series. It's just like, what's going on with AMD? Why is no one buying? I mean, the only other thing I can think about here is that it's the restock being really recent. But other than that, I don't really see AMD selling well now. Because you see here, Intel's like kicking ass. Now, regarding PC cases, it's like, it's a bit of a super tough call, but it's like, still, NZXT is selling well. It's just like, there's not that many I was able to see off of NZXT. I know there was a small amount of the H5 flow. I know the H5 family, since of like the 5, the 510. I know there's like a decent amount of those. I know there's like maybe a few H7 flow, but honestly, outside of one H210i, I think it is. I think there's practically nothing for NZXT for computer cases. You got the 5 family, H5 and H510. You got mainly those and the H7 flow. Other than that, it's like, Yeah, there's practically nothing there practically nothing there for availability. Blech. However, once again, Lian Li has a lot available instead of PC cases. We're talking the Land Cool, the Dynamic family. There is some thermal take in here in the mix, but yeah, there's quite a bit. I think there's even a decent amount of Corsair this time around. Now, to be fair, I did see, a family walk out with a Lian Li case. I know it's an 011 Dynamic family. I think it's a Razor edition. But outside of that, there's quite a few Lian Li cases available. Which means they're selling, but they're not selling as well as they anticipated. As you can see there, that's the 011 Dynamic, all that stuff right there. And I am looking at like PC cases where it's like mini ITX, so it's like that way once I get rolling on that build, forgive me for that. So once I get around to that, it's like at least I have, something specific in mind for that. Now, I don't think there's any of the 60 series case by Heist right there, as you can see. Who really knows? It might be in their inventory in the back. And this is like, again, the whole thing with the NZXT. It's like you're not seeing much. Again, like I said, you have the H5 flow, H7 flow, it's H510 flow, the H210i, the 510i, 510 Elite. That's two other H7 flows. That's it. There's no H9 Elite at Micro Center at all. None. It is still sold out. Now, regarding motherboards, it's like there's quite a bit on both ends, meaning that Intel and AMD. Now, what I said a little earlier about the Intel CPU selling, I don't really think that's as much as the case as I initially thought. And the reason why I say that is because you have quite a few Intel motherboards available. Now, you can say the same thing with the AMD. Okay, yeah, this is AMD. I had to zoom in just to make sure I get the right grouping together. So you could also say the same thing about AMD. So the comes down to a question: are people really buying stuff? And the answer is, as I am doubtful on that. I'm going to lean on no for that, because you're looking at perhaps a situation where it's like certain things are not selling, and times are changing. I mean, for me, speaking for myself, my hours at my job have been reduced, so it's like there's not a whole lot I can really do in the realm of like, getting whatever I want whenever I want. Not as much as before. And again, this is the X570, the B650, that sort of thing. So it's like, I don't know if Intel's really selling well, but I do know AMD's not selling well at all right now. However, times could change. It could be for the better or for the worse, in all fairness. Now, this is more of the motherboards, but this is pretty much the creme de la creme boards, like the very best. And there's a decent stock of both Intel and AMD here, which, like I say, kind of further proves that it's like, I don't know if either of them are selling, and I don't think either of them are selling well. Now, like I said, this is another thing about the NZXT AIO coolers. Again, they're selling quite well. So it's like a matter of like which one, I'm going to go after for the buddy's build. I don't know yet. But like I said, I had to narrow it down due to the case itself to either the Z53 or the X53. So that way, once I get, have a more clear answer to that, I could go forward with what I want. Now, this is the Corsair section of their AIO coolers. They're doing quite well with NZXT in sense of like matching them step for step. And I noticed quite a few Lian Li coolers. So it's one of those that's like, who's really selling, who isn't? Now this is more of like, the fractal. Looks like it's a bit of a mishmash, but this is the open box section of the store. So yeah, I noticed here there seems to be quite a bit of a mix, and it looks like it's a little bit more of a Lian Li than it's supposed to, like NZXT or let's see, that's the Meshify C from Fractal. That's the I believe that's the H210 open box. You have a Meshalicious, etc. This is more of the open box section where it's like varying conditions of certain parts. And I was trying to get a PC casing that's all black for cheaper than $13 United States. And again, these are the Lian Li coolers, so I was actually a little bit wrong. It looks like they are selling decently, but it's just like the issue with I wouldn't say an issue per se, but it's more so what Lian Li should really do when it comes to AIO coolers is that they should be more open to a 280 millimeter cooler. And that's only because limiting only to 240 and 360 as far as I know. It's like you're not giving customers many options to work with. And it's just a damn shame. Now, with power supplies, there's quite a bit from EVGA. There's an equal amount from Corsair. You have your generic store brands, all that stuff. So it's like, it's a bit of a wide range in sense of like power supplies, in sense of like what could be what's good, what isn't. Also, there's a really healthy supply of air coolers for those who want to use an air cooler to cool their CPUs. There's a pretty healthy supply. There's like I know Noctua and Noctua, Be Quiet, and Cooler Master are like the top three as far as I know. I know there's other brands which is like I can't name them all off the top of my head. So, let's see here if anything else I want to say here for this particular video log. Okay, so I don't have the whole lot of time remaining because, again, the app I'm using to record this has a bit of a limit, so I want to make sure I stay within the limit. So, as you guys can see here, it's like certain components are selling, some are not. And we look at some of the key components like motherboards and processors. Unless it's a recent restock, it's like, are things really selling as well as they claim to be? And the answer to that is probably not. Because when you have like certain areas in the US along where the cost of living is expensive, sometimes people have to prioritize. And it's honestly, it's heartbreaking. I just hope that with a restock in the future, things, will be more empty as opposed to more full. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. And I'm done with this video. So with Wolvie here signing off, I will catch you all on the flip side.